This is Up for Debate, episode number 282, recorded October 10th, 2024. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special Shaun-tember edition of Up for Debate, the debate show where the two hosts agree on everything. I'm Sean Jennings, joined as always by a man who loves to seep the bag. It's Matt Mariani. Hello, Matt.
Sean, how are we doing today? Are you ready for some tea?
Oh, we're going to spill all the tea tonight,
Are you
Matt. I'm
ready to
so
spill the
excited.
tea?
100%. Although I
Nice.
do have one thing I want to talk about before we get to the tea.
What's that?
Right off at the top, because we haven't gotten an update. How is the Matt Mariani / Up for Debate fantasy team going? Now, if you remember a couple weeks ago, before the start of the season, we drafted your fantasy team. And of
That's
course, I'm
right.
sure you've made other moves since, but we've got to get an update on how we're doing so far.
Well, Sean, I'll start with the record. You can decide for yourself. Currently, the team sits at 3-2.
Okay.
We are 3 wins, 2 losses in sixth place of a 10 team league. So we're kind of like smack in the middle.
Yeah, tough
Not
competition.
bad, not great. We just coming off a win. We won last week, and actually, I think two consecutive wins last week and the week before, both wins. A matter of fact, apropos for our or very appropriate for our theme tonight, my my team name, which I didn't reveal, I think at the time we had picked the team. My team name is High Tea in Stroud City
Oh, look at that.
to commemorate High T Higgins and of course our quarterback C.J. Stroud. Now, in the time that we last left off, a flurry of moves have been made. Most notably and most recently, unfortunately for your dear mom, Sean, I had to drop Kansas City's defense because they have a bye this week, and
Yes.
I
No, that's very fair.
instead I attempted to pick up the Houston Texans defense, but somebody ahead in the waiver wire beat me to it. So instead, I had to settle for Philadelphia's defense, and
Okay.
they're at home against Cleveland. So I think that
And
a
they suck.
defense is better than no defense. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cleveland sucks. Also in the a similar vein, I had to replace kicker Jake Elliott with Atlanta's kicker Young Ho Koo.
Oh, cool.
And I don't remember. Oh, I think I did that because he wasn't getting a lot of points. There was nothing to do with the bye or anything like that. No, actually, it was. No, Philadelphia had a bye. It was because of the bye. Philly had a bye, so I said bye to kicker Jake Elliott. Aside from that, I just also dropped Dobbs today. I don't know, maybe a controversial move. He went and I picked up Jets receiver Alan Lazard. Now that is just in the hopes that the recent firing of Coach Robert Saleh maybe will light a fire under them. We'll see. Playing an entirely beatable Buffalo offense or the Buffalo defense at home. What happened to? Oh, okay. So I mean, most notably, we had the injury to Cooper Kupp.
Yes.
Right, Cooper Kupp
Yes,
was like
big
my
one.
second pick, big one. Now the frustrating thing about that is that Kupp is listed as out, but not. He was never placed on IR,
Very,
so
very
he's just
annoying.
sitting in my bench. It's very annoying because I also can't drop him because he's Cooper Kupp and he's scheduled to come back. I think in like 2 weeks or so. It said after the week 6 bye, so
Yeah, that
he's
sounds right.
coming back soon. So I can't drop him, but he's just taking up space on my bench. Very frustrating. I picked up Khalil Shakir. Did I draft Khalil Shakir? I don't remember.
You might have. I don't remember. I
Yeah.
should have written that down.
He's here. Tyreek Hill, first pick, has been doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have a quarterback. Because
Yeah, it's been a tough year.
So he's been
Well,
chilling on my bench.
hey, listen. You're 3-2. It's all about wins and losses.
Yeah.
And so
That's the end. Pretty much the full injury report. Nico Collins is on IR. as of
Yes.
this morning. So
Yes.
he's on IR. So that was how I was able to add. Um, who did I add? I added Rashawn Johnson, running back from the Chicago Bears,
Sure. Yeah.
and also I dropped Matthew Stafford and in favor of Geno Smith, who is playing right now. But he's my bench, so that pretty much does it for my full report on High Tea in Stroud City.
Well, please keep us in the loop as the season goes on. We're all cheering for you.
Will do.
Your
Oh, and
respective fantasy teams.
Njoku was hurt. He's out for a few
Yeah.
weeks, so I
Brutal.
dropped him. I picked up Jake Ferguson, tight end on Dallas Cowboys.
I've got Jake Ferguson, man. He's number one target over there. So
That is the story.
could do a lot worse.
We'll see. Yahoo says I have a 63% chance of winning my game this week, and we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But that's the
We'll
story.
go from there.
That's the full fantasy report.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that
Mhm.
update, Matt. But I got to tell you, I am thirsty. So we got to get into this. It is Shaun-tember up for De Eats: a month of culinary exploration. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, it was an all-time classic. Tasting breakfast cereal with the guys from the Don't Panic podcast. Tonight, Matt, this is an episode idea I had, I swear, like 3 years ago. And I've been sitting on it for quite some time. We previewed it a couple weeks ago, but to recap it, tea. I'm a big coffee drinker, never had hot tea. And I figured the show, you are a tea drinker. I figured this show could be an opportunity for me to try some teas on the air and figure out, do I actually like them? So we're going to get into it in a second. I have a selection of 5 different teas and a ton of hot water ready to go. We're going to make tea right here on the show. I'm going to try it in real time, and we're going to see how it goes. And I am excited. I even brought a second mug in case there's an emergency with the first mug. I'm very prepared.
You are. Looks like you've got all your bases covered tonight. Now, what are you expecting to happen when you first try these teas? What are you predicting the teas will taste like?
Well, what I would really like is to like one a lot. Like want to
Okay.
continue to drink them. That would be a great outcome. Realistically,
Repeat.
I don't think I'm gonna say we've got 5 different ones. Here's my prediction. I'm gonna say 2 are terrible and I don't like them.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna say 3 of them are fine, but not for me. That's my early prediction. It's gonna fall in one of those 2 camps. But I'm excited to try. So we have yes.
Just to be clear, you have never had tea before, ever.
I've never had hot tea. So like a traditional iced tea, sure. No, I've never had a cup of hot tea before. And I should add tonight, we're drinking the tea straight. No milk, no cream, no honey, no nothing being added. This is just the straight tea.
So where did you get the hot carafe from? Did you order that specially for the show?
I borrowed them from the office.
Oh, okay.
I borrowed them from work. Yes, these 2 hot carafes. And I brought back I should get a sticker for it, the trademark dump bucket that we used in the cereal episode to dump out tea I don't like. So I am ready. So tonight we've got 5 teas, man. I'll read them off, and then maybe if you think I should start with one of these. These are the ones we picked out together for the most part. Irish breakfast, Earl Grey, green tea, mint, and oolong tea.
Yes. Okay. All of my favorites. I think I think we should probably we'll start this off right with the Irish breakfast. I think that will be the ideal tea. Now, I've got my own tea over here that I'll be drinking, and it is a sleepy time tea.
Oh, wonderful.
Real sleepy time, because I try to avoid caffeine right before bed, but it's pretty good.
Well, I should say, for full disclosure, any tea that offered a decaffeinated version, I got. So this is Twinings Irish Breakfast Decaffeinated.
Ooh, I've had that brand many times.
So let's get the
big fan of Twinings, big fan of Bigelow.
Let's see, can I do this where you're going to see the pour in the background here? There you go.
If either of them want to sponsor the show, that'd be a win.
All right. Is it? It's hot. It's hot. So we've got some
Okay.
clear hot water. You can see. I don't know if you can tell a little bit of steam coming off of that.
Where's the
And
tea
so
bag?
Matt, now let me crack this open.
Okay.
Isn't this a thrill? So I've got my bag of tea here. What
All
do I
right.
do with it?
So here we go, Shaun. Shaun, you've already goofed because
Oh
you're
fuck.
supposed to put the bag in first and then the water.
Eh, Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. That's why
Okay.
I thought you were
I
assembling the tea in there.
I have enough water. So
It's
let
all
me
right.
reset.
It's all
Okay, so
right.
I've got the mug. Let me
Yes.
get I brought
Let's
some
leave it.
dish
Now, I
towels.
guess you don't have to do it that way. I think it tends to make the tea more watery when you start with the water because you want to fully immerse the bag, right?
Okay,
Like
there
that's
you
kind
go.
of the there we go. So now that you the idea is you put the water in, it's going to fully immerse the bag, and that water pressure hitting the bag is going to release some of the tea flavor.
Let's see. There we go. Here we go.
There you go. There you go. Now, do you have like a device for stirring the
Do I
tea?
need
Do you
one?
have not yet. Not yet. Right
Okay,
now,
I
what you're going
don't.
to do is you're going to take your free hand and you're going to, I would recommend using the other one so you have access to
Okay.
the tea bag. And you're going to start what we call steeping the tea. So just
Okay.
pulling it up, pulling the tea bag up, not all the, yep, just like that, just a little, just very dainty, more of a wrist action. Very dainty. There we go. Perfect. Okay. See, you're a natural, Shaun. Now, depending on how many times you steep the tea like that, it will release more flavor. The official ruling on how many steeps you are supposed to do for tea,
All
I
right.
think it
Wait.
wavers.
You look that up. I'm gonna go get a spoon.
Okay. Yeah, artfultea.com recommends that you steep the tea leaves between 5 to 10 times. The more you tend to steep, can increase the robust flavor of the tea. So
Okay.
yeah, as I was saying, you want to the more you steep the tea bag, Shaun, the stronger your tea flavor is going to be. Western
Okay.
style brewing only recommends approximately 1 to 3 steeps. That's very weak. But Chinese and Eastern styles are go for 4 to 12. Oolong tea, it's recommended that you take at least 25.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
basically, the more steeps you do, the stronger the tea flavor will be. Now, I don't have that option, Shaun, because my sleepy time tea does not have a string. It was just the little bag, and I don't
Just a
like.
bag.
I'm
Just
not a big fan of these ones because I like to be able to control the amount of steepage that I get.
makes sense.
Because what happens with these, it tends to get the dishwater effect. It kind of tastes a little bit like dishwater because it's more water than it is tea. Um, but hopefully you'll have a good first tea drinking experience. Now I think you're ready to enjoy the tea. I don't like to add anything to my teas typically,
Right.
um, but a variety of additions such as cream or honey or lemon wedge are preferred by many out there. I'm a very plain tea drinker. If I did add anything of those options, it'd probably be honey. I would add a little bit to certain kinds of teas, but I rarely would ever, if any time, would ever put cream or any other additions. I think those are vestiges of a forgotten era where tea was a lot stronger
Yeah.
and like more foreign tasting to some of the like Western folks who drank it. Nobody like in the eastern part of the world would add like cream and stuff to the tea. That was not really done. So I usually just try it. I have it plain, but I think the Irish breakfast will be good plain.
So what do I do with the bag?
Okay, now that is another area of debate among the tea drinking community. In Ireland, in the UK, and in most parts of Europe, I believe it is customary to remove the bag before you drink. It's actually, I think, considered proper tea etiquette to not have the bag in. Over here in the West, over here in the United States, we tend to leave the bag in, and we consider removing the bag to be improper etiquette. But
Hmm.
there's no right or wrong answer here. Yeah, I guess it has to do with like the mess it makes. If you pull it out, drips and stuff. It's not convenient. So in America, they tend to leave the bag in the tea, but in UK, Ireland, you look kind of foolish if you leave the tea bag in. So
Hmm.
um, it's totally your call. It's totally your call on that one. I'll let you be free to explore. Just
Well,
know
I'll
once
leave
you
it in.
remove the tea bag,
Yeah.
that's probably it for the steepage. So
Well, I'll
yeah.
leave it in right now. Maybe I'll try a
Okay.
couple different ways. We got a few teas to work through. I will say, Matt, I like the smell. Smells good.
Yes.
And smell is a lot of taste. All right, here we go.
All right.
This is the
Sláinte,
Irish breakfast tea.
as
This
they
is
say.
this is history right here. Can't believe we're capturing
Yeah.
this on tape.
Shaun, being a New Englander, he's used to throwing the tea in the harbor, but not today. Not today.
I gotta get the.
Okay. So what do you think? Shaun has consumed his first few sips of hot tea, folks.
This is
Long time
you know
coming.
your kids will ask where you were when this happened, and you
A
can tell
long
them you
time
you were
coming.
here. I would say I like it. I would say I like it.
Okay.
On a 1 to 10 scale of 10 is like, pure manna from heaven, the best thing I've ever consumed, and 0 is I vomited up immediately. This is like a 7. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
solid. Again, it's even when I drink coffee, I put flavored creamer in it. I tend to like it a little on the sweeter flavors, and obviously this is a little more, as they say on the box, a rich and hearty tea that enlivens your senses. To me, this isn't. I don't know how this would do in the morning. I feel like I need a little more in the morning, but I like
Hmm.
it. I would go so far as to say I like it. That's an enjoyable sip um, of tea.
All right. So I kind of wanted to discuss that as a big coffee drinker, right? You would say
Yes.
you're definitely a big coffee drinker. For me, as somebody who does both, I don't really view them as a competition between
Mm.
each other. Because I would say I can enjoy coffee and tea, but I feel like I enjoy them in different settings. Like coffee is something I need to punch me in the mouth, to wake me up, to help me like thrive. I could also enjoy a coffee if I'm like relaxing at home or like on a long drive. It's very Coffee is very versatile, but I feel like there are only really select settings where I enjoy tea,
Yeah.
and that's either if I'm like just chilling at home or I have a cold. I think I easily consume the most tea when I'm sick, but
Yeah.
it makes me feel better. And I don't like to drink coffee when I'm sick because I already kind of feel woozy and out of it, and I think coffee just takes me even further into that headspace. For some reason, tea clarifies. It makes things like clearer, but coffee, like, it energizes. It helps me
Right.
go. They say that they have similar caffeine amounts, but I always find, like, I think it must just be more heavily concentrated in the coffee because I never get that like punched in the mouth sensation in a good way, punched in the mouth in a good way, that I get from coffee as soon as I wake up and I have a cup. Tea, it's usually I just get a little bit more focused, which is always a good thing in that regard. But how do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, to me, there were two reasons I wanted to do this exercise. One is I like hot beverages, but the only one I
Mm.
drink is coffee, and so finding additional new hot beverages is very interesting, because that's especially when I'm at work. I that's not I never do, but I prefer a hot beverage. The other thing is that um, I would say like black. I don't drink black coffee. I would this cup of tea is better than black coffee to me. I don't like black coffee. Um, and I'm excited about the variety potential. So I agree with you. I don't think this is. It's definitely a unique taste. But the thing about the way I drink coffee is milks, creams, sugars, flavors, which I like. But this is definitely more simple, and I think I agree with you. This would never, I don't think, replace coffee. But in the same way, if you go into my fridge, I've got 2 different kinds of sodas, 3 different kinds of seltzers, 4 different kinds of beer, juice, water, Gator. Like I just like I'm a variety guy, so that's what excites me. And I think this one could make its way into the mix.
All right. Yeah. We started out strong with the Irish breakfast. And I mean, of course, feel free to experiment with additions. Most commonly, Irish breakfast tea I think pairs well with milk or cream. Um, and if you enjoy adding it to your coffee, you may enjoy adding it to your tea as well.
Yeah, well, I like the base flavor. That's what's nice. Again, with coffee, if you just made like a black cup of coffee, pour over is a little better because at least it has some flavor. But like plain black drip coffee is gross. And so I like the base flavor of this tea. So I do think playing with a little bit would help as well. But at least on its base is good. All right, this one is going in the DT dump bucket.
All right. Well, before we head over to our next tea,
Yes.
I'm going to start peppering in some fun facts.
All right.
And I was trying to find some fun facts specific to Irish tea, but instead, I kind of went down a little bit more of it because the Irish tea culture is very similar to that of the UK, and I figure we'll save that for a different tea that you have in the arsenal coming up. But
Mm-hmm.
Shaun, did you know Ireland is second? Ireland ranks second in the world in terms of tea consumption per capita. Would you like to guess
Really?
which country ranks first? Ireland is second. Who ranks
You
first
know,
in
I
tea consumption?
I think people would want me to say England, but I don't think that's it. I actually think I'm going to say India.
A very good guess. India is surprisingly very low on this list.
Yeah. So then it wasn't a good
Shocking.
guess. I appreciate
Very
you saying
good
that.
guess,
It wasn't
though.
a good guess.
India
No, it was
is
a bad guess.
well, it was, but it was a good. The intention was good. I thought that, like, I mean, it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. I'll say it's a logical guess that ended up bad because India is 29th on the list, a lot lower than you might expect. Actually, the country of Turkey ranks first. I would have guessed England as well. I would have guessed the UK, but UK is
Yeah, but
third.
isn't Turkish coffee a thing?
It is, but I guess they also enjoy tea, so they like their tea
Huh.
and their coffee, proving our point. Yeah, top 10, you've got Turkey first, then you've got Ireland second, UK third, Pakistan comes in fourth, and Iran in fifth. And Shaun, would you believe Russia ranks sixth? So
I believe
I
it.
guess it gets cold there.
Top
so.
beverages, cold there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it. Yeah, tea consumption. Where do you think the U.S. is on this list?
I don't think they're that high. I mean, they get what 12?
United States ranks 36th on this list.
Oh my goodness!
They are in between.
Which country's 12?
Which is 12 is Japan.
Oh.
Country of Japan, the land of the rising
Good choice.
sun. United States ranks in between Finland and Argentina in terms of their tea drinking capacity.
All right, Matt. So I have got 4 more teas here. Which one do you think we should try next?
I think so. You did the Irish breakfast. Tell me the remaining teas.
Earl Grey, green tea, mint tea, and oolong tea.
All right. I think the next tea. Go Earl Grey.
Okay.
Go Earl Grey.
We've got our Bigelow Earl Grey here. I basically raided the entire tea section at my local supermarket.
Earl Grey hot.
And this is also decaffeinated because I do have to sleep eventually. So it's definitely blacker than the other tea. So
yes, Earl Grey is a very dark tea. I think it'll be the darkest
scam me.
tea.
Oh, I love the smell of that.
Tea we have tonight.
That smells. I would get a candle that smells like that. All right, let's get some more.
If you're familiar, folks out there, familiar with Star Trek: The Next Generation, This is Captain Picard's favorite beverage, as he orders in the replicator.
Have we ever
Tea Earl
met
Grey.
while I'm
Hmm?
seeping this? Have you and I
Mhm.
ever talked about Lower Decks? Are you a fan of that show?
Everyone, many people have recommended it to me. I just haven't found the time. Maybe I should make some time to find it to
Well,
watch it.
I will tell you, I
Lower
find
Deck.
normal Star Trek to be insufferable. I can't stand
Mhm.
it. It's boring and it's full of itself. But um, Lower Decks is fucking phenomenal. I'm telling that's like a top 10 of all time show for me. It's unfriggin' believable. So I would recommend finding some time to check that out.
All
My,
right.
my plug for tonight.
This looks like a pretty good Saturday morning watch.
Yeah, they're
I
only
will.
like half-hour episodes, so they go by really quick.
Okay.
All
Yeah. No.
right, let's see.
Many people are like, "Oh, you should watch Lower Decks." Like, totally watch it. So, all right. I'll give it a watch. So that's the Earl Grey. It looks a little
Yes, it is.
unsteep.
I
I think
gotta I gotta
you
go more.
got a little bit of the steepage. Earl Grey is supposed to be dark. It is a dark, dark tea. Now this is a tea with a history. The history section on Wikipedia of this tea is lengthy.
Oh no.
So I'll play. I'll read to you a little bit of the hits. Earl Grey, Shaun, uh, is a tea that dates all the way back to 1824. It was popularized and suggested that the Earl Grey blend, or Earl Grey's mixture, may have been named after Charles Grey, who was the second Earl of Grey. He was also British Prime Minister in the 1830s. He caused a great deal of controversy by adding something called oil of bergamot to the tea. Don't tell me you have a bergamot allergy, Shaun.
Well, yeah. What? That's huh? That sounds very fake.
Bergamot, Bergamot. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but bergamot essential oil is a cold pressed essential oil that comes from a bergamot orange. So this is actually that's where it gets the kind of like a citrusy or tangy flavor. It's like an orange essence essentially. Um, so it's pretty much like you would add this like tea to black tea. You would add this like flavoring to black tea. It came under fire because the British people loved their tea, and they felt like he was like kind of bastardizing tea by adding this orange flavoring. But it became very, very popular once he became prime minister. Um,
Oh
oh
yeah,
wow,
it says in the ingredients on the box. It says
yeah,
oil of
oil of bergamot.
bergamot.
Bergamot. So there's an apocryphal legend that claims that a grateful Chinese mandarin whose son was rescued from drowning by one of Lord Earl Grey's men first presented the blend to the Earl in 1803. However, Lord Grey never traveled to China. So this is most likely false. But be that as it may, we have the Earl Grey tea. That's where
Wow.
it comes from. So, um, there's a special beverage called London Fog, but I want to let you, take a sip of that tea, enjoy it, hearty
Smells
sip.
similar.
This is
Smells
one of my
similar to the
favorites.
breakfast
Yeah,
tea. All right.
this is also one of my favorites, Earl Grey. It's a classic. A little bit. I think it's got a little bit more flavor than your breakfast teas.
It does. It feels I don't know if smoother is the right word, but it
Mhm.
does feel a little. The other one kind of tasted like flavored water. This one feels a little more than that.
Yeah, there's a more of a robustness, and not to put anybody down. I think it also might be the company. My personal favorite is Bigelow. I think Bigelow
Hmm.
does a better tea. I think Twinnings teas tend to be a little weaker, so I try to buy Bigelow when I can. So it could be a brand thing.
Hmm.
Personally,
Yeah,
I've always found the Bigelow teas to have a little bit more of a punch.
little more juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's pretty good. I
Hmm.
think it's, if I were ranking them, probably a little bit above the Irish, but I still think in the same family. I think it's got a better aftertaste to it. I think too, like it lingers in a good way. Um, and it, like I said, it smells incredible as well. Now, Matt, when or with what would you have Earl Grey?
So whereas the Irish breakfast tea is, I think, right in its name, it's um, more of like a wake up in the morning, have your breakfast and enjoy the Irish breakfast tea. I think the Earl Grey is kind of an any kind of day tea. Um, you could have it in the morning, you could have it afternoon, nighttime. It's more of it's very very versatile. I don't think there's any one particular time that you would enjoy this. The only time I don't know if I would have the Earl Grey is if you're having it with like for high tea. For a
Hmm.
high tea, I think you want a more delicate kind of a tea. You probably want to do it like an oolong or a white tea. If you're gonna have high tea and you're gonna have like food with it, the Earl Grey, it's not a good snacking tea. I think you really the Earl Grey is kind of selfish. You got to have it on its own with nothing else kind of added to it. You're just enjoying the Earl Grey because I think anything else, a biscuit or a digestive or whatever, you consume with the tea, I think it's just going to take on that flavor of Earl Grey. It's a very
Yeah.
selfish, but it's a very good tea. It's also it's got this rep of being like a posh kind of tea that like anybody drinks, or that like not that like the upper class kind of drink. Um, in a 2010 survey, a significant number of people in the United Kingdom associate drinking Earl Grey with being posh, um, or upper middle class. How do you feel about that?
Uh, yeah, I think so. It's so funny. I feel like tea as a whole is no longer a fancy thing. Like I don't associate tea with maybe wine or even exotic coffees, but tea to me is not. I feel like that's really fallen by the wayside as sort of a representation of the upper class.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I probably agree with that. Uh,
Um, yeah, on the 1 to 10 scale, this is probably it's similar to the Irish breakfast, 7.5. Probably it's pretty darn good.
Sean, there is a beverage that is called the London Fog.
Oh, I've heard of
My
that.
question to you: London Fog is composed of Earl Grey tea and
Mm-hmm.
what two other ingredients?
I believe it's some of that is alcohol. Um, I really don't know off the top of my head. I don't even know where I would start to guess, but I'm curious to find out.
So, interestingly enough, it does not involve alcohol.
Oh,
You would think it would, but it is a London Fog is consists of Earl Grey tea, vanilla flavoring, and a milk, any kind of milk of choice. And it actually
oh, that
sounds
sounds like I'd
dang
like
good.
that.
It actually sounds
Yeah,
really
I
good.
like
Sounds
that.
like it'd be right up your alley. It's quite popular in Canada, the Pacific Northwest. It was invented in Vancouver in the 90s. It sounds really good.
Well,
I
I have
kind of
French
want to look
vanilla
at that.
creamer in the fridge, which is basically the same thing.
It says honey optional. It was invented in Vancouver's Buckwheat Cafe.
Hmm. Well, you made me think. I want to talk to our cocktail consultant Colby to see if he
Mhm.
knows of any good cocktails made with tea. Because I'm sure there are some out there.
Yeah, no, that would be interesting to research.
So, Matt, next up on our list, we got green mint and
Yeah,
oolong. What are you thinking? Our tea tour guide.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking we depart from the strong, robust kind of teas, and I think we venture into the mint tea, the world
All
of
right.
flavored teas.
I love it. We've got mint medley. This says. Let's dig in here.
So mint tea has a number of health benefits, including upset stomach, headaches and migraines, sleep and relaxation, stress.
Sorry, Matt. I don't mean to interrupt. When you phrased it like that, it sounded like it gave you all those things.
Oh,
I'm like, wait, it gives you an upset stomach and a headache? That's not. Oh, that
no,
smells
no,
nice. It
Sean.
smells like toothpaste.
That's watching playoff baseball.
That's being a Phillies fan.
Yeah, indeed. Um, yeah, it's supposed to help with. It could also help with weight loss if you use mint tea as a caffeine-free alternative to sugary drinks. It can help even bring down a fever, enhance memory and cognitive function, and cure joint pain.
It's basically Ozempic before Ozempic.
So lots of benefits to drinking mint tea. And it's all thanks to Dragonfly Tea. That's where we get those facts from.
All right, let's see. Look at that. They all kind of look the same.
Yeah,
But I guess that's the idea.
Yeah, they do.
Smells nice.
Like bright green or something.
Smells nice. Now, Matt, do you ever do other than sort of your traditional version, do you do any exotic iced teas? Because I believe all of these you can do in ice.
I never really think to do that. I should. I don't. Yeah. No. I mean, you could absolutely do all these in iced. Dang. I don't know why I've never really thought about that, but yeah. Mm-hmm. That would be something to try. Not a whole lot of interesting facts about the mint teas, but other than just that they're healthy.
Can you find some interesting facts about toothpaste?
Well, all right, yeah. I guess the thing is that this is our first herbal tea.
That's
it's
true.
Also the green tea, because tea comes in many varieties: black tea, oolong tea, chai tea. Matter of fact, let's see. How many different varieties are there? Probably many, many.
Oh, herbal teas. Just at the supermarket. I mean, there was and of course they're all like immunity and energy, and it's all like vaguely health beneficial. But it was, my thought, there was ones with like elderberry and like all this kind of other stuff, and yeah, I think you could go pretty wild with that.
So essentially, when it comes to like classifying teas, you've got your the teas are classified based on how they're processed.
Mm-hmm.
You have, it's whether or not the tea leaves. All right, a little bit of the science of teas here. If the tea leaves are wilted or unwilted, so that's applying heat and moisture to wilt the leaves, or if they are oxidized or unoxidized. And I don't know what that means or what that process is, but I think that's applying fire to them, like burning them. So you have white, yellow, green, oolong, and black. So white teas are wilted and unoxidized, yellow, unwilted and unoxidized, but allowed to slightly yellow. Green and yellow are almost the same. I feel like they might as well be the same kind of thing, because green is unwilted, unoxidized. Oolong, wilted and partially oxidized, and then black is wilted and fully oxidized. So it's not necessarily the tea. The tea leaves are all the same. It's just what you do to them. So the tea you're drinking, Sean, the mint tea, is a green tea. It's unwilted. It's unoxidized. So far, you've only had black tea.
Good. Well, this will be a nice mix-up.
So yeah, so
I'm going to give it a sip here.
I would say it's akin to like the beans, the roasting the coffee beans, right?
Sure.
You have your blonde roast. You have your dark roast.
You can definitely taste the mint. It's tangy.
Are you a mint guy?
I would generally say yes.
Okay. Some people are very opposed to mint. Some people are very anti-mint.
Okay. No, I wouldn't. Actually, no. I would go so far as to say I like mint.
Okay. Then this
Uh
could be a good tea for you.
Here's the thing, though. It doesn't. It's
Mhm.
almost not minty enough. I think the problem I keep having is most of them just taste like water.
Yeah. There's and we could probably discuss tea brewing methods.
Mm.
I for one have been chasing the ideal tea ever since I got back from Ireland. It's the way they prepare the tea over there. It's damn good. It's just really good. And I think it's the brewing, like they do something like they're brewing it or how they brew it. It's really good. I think over here we tend to add too much water and it waters the tea down.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I
over
don't.
there, it's whatever the process is, it's just really good.
Yeah, I don't think I like that one as much as the other two. I will say I'm definitely going to try. Because by the way, I have all these leftover tea bags. I'm going to try that on ice because I actually think that would be very good cold. With the mint. So I am going to try it on ice, but I would say not as much as the other two. That's probably like a 6 out of 10. It's not bad, maybe 5.5. It's not bad, but
Yeah.
it's not doing it for me.
Another suggestion I think you could do, you could add more than one bag. I noticed you're doing
Mm.
your one bag and everything. You could double bag, and that will increase the flavor potential of the tea. I think you might maybe if you want to try the mint, double bag it. I think you'll have a better time. You'll have a better tea experience.
That's fair.
That's just my food for thought, my
Mm.
tea for thought.
At the end of this, I should drink the poured out tea out of the bucket because it's going to have all 5 tea flavors in it.
That'd be
Maybe it's like a
wild.
super tea, you know?
That'd be wild. Another interesting thing that I'm reading here is before you remove the bag, squeeze it. Try squeezing it against the side of the mug, and that
Yes, I have
releases
seen
like
people do that.
kind of like one final burst of flavor. That's an
Yeah.
interesting idea.
Yeah, I'll have to try that on this next one. Matt, we want to do green or oolong?
All right, next up, let's go with the green.
Let's go with the green.
Let's go with the green. So because you just had a green that was mint flavored, now let's try the original, just the kind of the raw green.
I do like that they come in the little bags. That's fun. Like K-cup pods are a bummer. These are fun.
Yes,
There you go.
yes, that is. Yep.
Now I know green tea is a very common iced tea.
Yes, you will find a lot of iced. Usually the green or the black, I think, are the most common iced teas that are around. Green being, I think, the definitely the most common. And this, as a matter of fact, I think this is the I've had this is the one I've had more iced for sure than hot. But green tea, of course, known for its antioxidant properties, anti-inflammatory properties, all around good for you. They say it may be good for memory
And the water is a bit green. It's a bit greener than the others.
and good for the immune system. Yes.
That smells good. These
Mm.
smell better than they taste.
So what you add to the green tea is not not a big one to add cream or milk. This one's more of a citrus. You add your
Yeah.
citrus or your honey.
Well, the one I
Yeah,
bought, this is with it says with lemon, so it
with
comes with
lemon. Hmm.
lemon peel in it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm with you.
people who kind of like that acidity.
Well, it's while this one is I want to give us a few minutes to seep here, Matt. Have you tried any new beverages lately? That come
Have
to
I
any
tried
beverages?
any new beverages? Any new beverages out there that I've tried? I'm racking my brain here.
No, that's
I don't know if I have. I think I've kept it pretty simple. I'm a simple man with simple beverages, I guess. What would do you have any recommendations for me
well.
for
Actually,
beverage?
they just discontinued a beverage. Have you ever had Coca-Cola spiced? This
Yes,
was,
yes.
which I love. I actually think it's very good.
I actually really liked that. Yeah, that was
Uh,
it was a seasonal kind of
well, no,
beverage.
it was
Yeah.
supposed to be permanent.
Oh, was it?
And they discontinued it because it wasn't selling, unfortunately. But I really like Spice. That was a shame.
Yeah.
It reminded me I don't know if they still do, but around Christmas they used to do cinnamon Coca-Cola, which was the
Yes.
bomb. And then they
It
did
was.
the spiced, which was kind of like that with raspberry.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's
I like.
disappointing.
Well, I've had both of them. I remember really enjoying both of them. I miss some of the flavors that we grew up with. Pepsi Blue is a
Sure.
big one. I miss
Pepsi Lime.
Pepsi
They got to bring back
Lime for
Pepsi Lime
sure.
was the bomb.
Bring back Pepsi Lime. I think vanilla Coke. You could. I think you could still get it.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, that's one of
Yeah,
their core
and that was
flavors. It's that and
that's one.
cherry are kind of the two core.
Yeah, vanilla Coke is one. Yeah, what and cherry all time
You
favorites.
you know what I got in a Coke Freestyle machine a while back? It was
What's
red
that?
cream soda.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's red soda with some, I don't know if it was cherry or raspberry or something. Oh, it was awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, that is awesome.
Well, that's lemony. That is lemony. You can definitely taste the
Enjoying the
lemon.
lemon. That looks well steeped.
Mm. Yeah, I would say this one doesn't feel as watery,
Okay.
which is helpful. Yeah, this really isn't bad actually. I would
All
say I
right.
feel pretty.
It sounds like it sounds like the green tea is making a solid impression on you.
The only thing is again, it is this to me is like a. Well, no, I'm trying to figure out what you would when you would have this or what you'd have it with. Definitely stands on its own, but I wonder like a Caesar salad like this would be really great with.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is healthy. It's a healthy drink.
Yeah. All in all, it's good. I would say this is like a 7.5, 8 on the scale, right up there. I think this and the Earl Grey are my sort of top two right now. Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, green tea. Green tea also kind of like an anytime. I wouldn't go for it first thing in the morning. I think that would be more like would want something with a
Oh
little
yeah.
more caffeine, a little more pep. But I think green tea, it's a good like afternoon. This is a good like early afternoon or late morning tea. It's a lunchtime tea. I think it's a good one to have like and of course very versatile. I think it probably adjusts to ice the best way.
Oh
It's
yeah.
very refreshing after working outside or working inside. It's a good refreshing drink. Yeah.
I like it. Very nice. All right. We're down to our last one here. Round and third, heading home. That would be our oolong tea.
Our oolong
Classic
tea.
oolong. Smooth and distinctive taste with consistent mellow notes.
Let's see a little bit of research about oolong tea. So this tea, perhaps the most Chinese of all teas that we've had. It's got a rich history. It's probably its oldest.
Oh.
Very likely it is the oldest tea, dating all the way back to the 3rd century BCE. Production of oolong tea, so it's very very old. Earliest origins tell of a tale of a man named Wu Liang or Wu Long or Oolong who discovered oolong tea by accident when he was distracted by a deer after a hard day of working in the fields, and by the time he remembered to return to his fields, the tea leaves in his fields that had been growing as weeds had already started to oxidize, thus leading to the production of oolong tea. The French call this blue tea for some reason. Does it look very blue to you?
No, it's the same brownish color of all tea. Hate to break
Okay.
it to you.
Well, then I mean, I guess that I'm looking at a picture of the leaves, and they look kind of bluish, I guess. And maybe this tea is prepared traditionally in southeastern China, and there is a process called the Gong Fu tea ceremony that goes along with preparing this tea. It's a very old and ancient tea preparing ceremony. It is also known as Black Dragon tea.
That might be overselling it a little bit, but all right.
Yeah. So the tea of many names, oolong.
Now you're a fan of oolong tea.
Yes, I would say it's not my favorite on this list, but it is. I do enjoy it. Yeah, I'm curious to see how you will because I think you're gonna. This one, I don't know. Well, it's a make or break. I think if you this is the most coffee like tea that exists. I
Okay.
think it's
Okay.
very similar to coffee. So I'm banking on the fact that you are a coffee drinker, a coffee connoisseur. If that will translate to your enjoyment of this tea, we'll have to find out.
All right. Here we go. Cheers, as the kids say. I apologize for all the mouth sounds.
I think that's part of the
Not very polite.
experience.
If people want to check out the video version, you can see me awkwardly sipping tea.
That's what the Patreon is here for, right? We have that Patreon set up.
Yeah, by the way, over on Patreon, I'm going to be putting these tea bags in the cat's water to see if he likes them. You're going to want to check that out, but that's only if you pay, only behind the paywall.
That's worth every penny, folks. That's worth every penny.
It's good. I like it. It's solid. I think to me, it almost strikes me as a balance between the two classes of teas we tried. It feels kind of in the middle.
The black tea and the green, which makes sense because the process is. I think it's the roasting process for the green tea. Oh no, it's wilted like green tea, but it's the same roast that you do for black tea. So it's a mixture. It's oxidized like a black tea.
It's smooth but tangy, which I do like. Yeah, I think that's solid. I could definitely see that as more of a I get why it's got that does strike me as more of a morning wake me up type of thing.
This one is, I think, early mornings or late at night. It's also got the strongest caffeine concentration of any tea.
Yeah.
This is also a good one if you want to mix with like milk or honey of some kind. I mean, it's really, you could also do lemon. It's a very versatile tea.
Yeah, it's very nice. I mean, listen, we've gotten through all five. I think my grand conclusion is I kind of enjoyed all of them, to be honest with you. There were none that I said, ew, gross, and spit out. I think my least favorite of the bunch was probably the mint. And I agree with you, maybe a second tea bag might have helped. But really, the other four I all liked a lot. My favorite probably was the Earl Grey. I think was my favorite.
Earl Grey. Okay.
I think the oolong was very, very good, and I think the green tea was good. The breakfast was fine, but I think if you were like Shaun, which of these would you be most likely to have again? It would probably be the Earl Grey, because I like that. Now I think the real question is, and we said at the beginning, it doesn't really compare to coffee, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't think any of these are going to displace coffee. I don't know that any of these are going to become a daily drinker. But I like the idea. How long do these last in my cupboard? Oh, through 2027. These last forever.
Yeah, they do. I was going to say they last a really long time. I can't remember the last time I went out to the store to buy tea. I have so much of it left over.
Well, I think
so you'll be enjoying that tea for quite a while.
Well, we have a hot water machine at work, and I think this is the kind of thing I'd keep in my office. And in kind of an afternoon or something where I want something a little different, I could absolutely see myself making one of these. So, yeah, I think overall I would consider this experiment quite a success.
Yeah. Now there's a whole world of teas out there. There's cinnamon teas.
That sounds good.
Teas,
we might have to do a part 2.
There is definitely enough to do a part 2, I would say, and I could give some more recommendations. Be happy to do it.
Yeah. No, you did great. You get A+ today as our team captain. 5 stars. You led us well, kept us on track.
Would you consider doing any tea additions? Would you add like milk, cream?
Yes, I am going to. So part of this experiment was also I just picked up. Costco introduced for the first time a cinnamon crumb cake loaf that looks so good. I have it at my house. I'm going to have a slice tomorrow morning. And my question is, which of these teas would I have with that? And the answer is probably
What do you think?
none. I'm going to have a cup of coffee with it. But what I am going to do in the morning is I'm going to bust out probably the Earl Grey and the oolong, and I'm going to put a little creamer in them and see what I think.
Yeah,
And give it a shot because I think it might make a difference. I don't know if it's going to be better, but again, just having some
like
variety
I
is
said,
great.
so I guess the way that I would use this at work is like the I can't drink coffee all the time. Like I can
Right.
drink coffee once pretty much. And as soon as I like get to work, I have coffee. But I can't keep going back and having more coffee. I would die. So instead of drinking all that coffee, I can keep drinking teas all day. So I think the coffee gets me there, and then the tea
Right.
sustains me throughout the day. I'm
Well,
sustained by the tea.
yeah, I mean, what I do, I'm 2 cups in the morning, and then I'm a decaf cup in the afternoon, and I think that's where
Yeah,
a tea could come in.
yeah,
Um,
that would be a
when I
good
just
time.
need something to drink in the afternoon, and I want
And
something warm.
to me, decaf coffee is a waste. I dislike just decaf coffee. So I that would be I think a tea would be a great substitute for a decaf coffee because decaf to me that's like drinking flavored water. So I think wholeheartedly a substitution in the tea realm. Now that you mention it, there is a beverage I have tried recently. Now I was just thinking about coffee and coffee varieties. I've recently cranked back out my Nespresso machine.
Oh,
I've been exploring the world of Nespresso coffees, which I did a little bit. We got it as a wedding gift back in 2019, and the Nespresso machine, and I got like the flavors that went with it, but then it found its way to the basement, and it was away. I recently rediscovered my Nespresso, and I love it, and I've been trying all the little there's a wide variety of flavors out there, espresso flavors. So that when I it's not something I have like during the week. It's more like a weekend kind of treat.
yeah, it's a fun thing to.
An espresso coffee, yeah, it's quite
Yeah.
good. Yeah, different little flavors of Nespresso to try.
Well, Matt, this unfortunately this concludes Shaun-tember.
Wow,
And this one
wow,
again, an all-time
came off
great.
with a bang.
I think we drafted your fantasy team. We had some cereal, some teas. Um, it was mostly food related. Thank you for being such a good sport. That was a fun month.
No, that was. Don't we still have the cooking challenge?
Yeah, I think we're both way too busy for that. I'm so
Did
busy. I keep I
our
do a
lawyers found
newsletter,
out about it?
my movie league newsletter. I'm
Yeah.
behind on because it just should have just been so
Mhm.
busy. So no, I we don't have we'll postpone that one.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair. I think our lawyers will thank us for that because we would assuredly poison ourselves and advocate others to do the same and using
yes,
some of those recipes.
we
So
only eat prepackaged foods.
we'll keep those for sweeps week. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Um, so Shaun-tember's over, but don't worry, folks. We got more great content coming. Before we talk about this show, I do want to mention Don't Panic.io. Don't Panic, our sister podcast over there with Colby and Dan. Our most recent episode on Johnny Mnemonic is up on the feed. And then I still have to edit it, but shortly on the feed will be an episode on Pirates of Silicon Valley, which was a made-for-TV movie about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and it's interesting and a lot of fun. And I think our discussion was a lot of fun. And Colby is actually landing right now in Boston. He was in Las Vegas for work. I think his first time there, one of his first times there. We're going to talk about it on this Monday's episode. So make sure you subscribe to the feed wherever you get podcasts. Don't Panic.io. Just search for the big red button. Our show, of course, is up for debate.tv. You can subscribe to us wherever you get podcasts. We're on all the major apps with a video version on our YouTube channel. And of course, our website is upfordebate.tv. You can email us upfordebatetv@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of us and give us some ideas. But that's going to do it for us tonight. On behalf of Matt, I'm Shaun. We appreciate you being here. We're going to see you next time for another great episode of Up for Debate.